All right, this is Clint from the Doorway 2, hanging out with Jason from, I think the way you say it, because you helped me out with it, is Nequient. Is that the way you
You
say it?
got it. You got
All
it.
right. I tried. See, I tried to learn. Cool.
I would make sure
So
to say it a few times on stage because it can be tricky.
yeah, I know. I appreciate it. I tried my best the first time, butchered it really badly, but I'm glad I got it now. So Jason, tell us a little bit about what you do in the band.
I sing, I write lyrics. I'm usually the one who has to harass people to get us shows in other cities. That's mostly what I do.
Cool. Awesome. So tell me, so Nequient, it's not the most common name for a band. How
It
did
is
it
not.
come to be? How did it come to be? And do you still feel that it fits the style and what you're doing?
Yeah, so the name actually predates the involvement of anyone who is currently in the band. That the name comes from the very early roots of the band when it was sort of a couple guys talking about starting a crust punk band, and they decided on the name because it was an archaic term that no one had ever heard of, and if you Googled it, you would bring up the band that you were looking for. And also like it has a nice ring to it, like once you know how to say it, it kind of rolls off the tongue pretty well. So yeah, the band kind of evolved over the first few years of its existence. Like, I'm the only person who ever sang on a demo or played a
Okay.
show or anything like that, but there was like a couple years, I guess, where it was basically just like a couple guys like screwing around with some songs in a basement before I came in. And then once I did come in, we had like some turnover in the first like 2 years of the band, like not all at once, but like gradually we had like first one guitar player go. And then I brought in my friend Patrick, who has been our guitar player ever since. Then the bass player went. And ended up going through a bunch of bass players over the years. And the other guitar player left, and we just never replaced him. So we've been a one guitar band ever since. But what that meant in part was, no one who was there for originally picking the name is here anymore. And I went to the guitar player who had started the band, and I said, hey, we think we'd like to just keep the name because we've already been playing shows. We had a logo made for it, and we think it's pretty cool. And so he gave us his blessing, and so we rolled with it. As far as whether it still fits, like obviously the meaning of the term is being unable, not being able, and it has sort of a punk sort of connotation to it, right? Like we're going to be kind of sloppy, and obviously we're not super sloppy these days, but I still like it because I think it sort of connects us to that sort of punk rock, like let's just plug and play ethos, which is still very much how we operate. Like the music is pretty precise and technical and all that, but we're not like, we don't need like a bunch of expensive equipment. We don't need a nice stage. We don't need any shit like that. We want to like roll into your basement or your dive bar, plug in and just have some fun.
Cool. No, that's funny because my next question kind of relates to what you were just kind of talking about. So the first two records to me are very crust punk. So like they have way more of a crust punk vibe. The newer stuff kind of has, I don't know, outsider, leftist, proggy kind of, like death metal, doom metal, sludge, all kind of mixed together. But let's talk about the first two records in particular. I've only heard three of them, so I didn't hear like Infinite at all. Like I haven't had a chance to dig down that back yet. But like Wolves, for instance, can you kind of talk about that? Because the first two records I'm going to kind of feel are a certain period in time, and the next two records, when I listen to them, have a very different vibe and feeling. How do you feel looking back at Wolves now? Do you still feel it's the same band, or do you feel like it's a completely different band and you've moved into something else?
That's definitely the same band, though it did evolve. You're absolutely right. And I can talk a little bit about how that happened. Like if you go back far enough, if you go back like 2015 and earlier, like 2015 is when we put out the Infinite Regress EP. That's sort of the very start, I think, of it sort of becoming what it's going to become, but it's still very embryonic and it's still got a lot of the crusty elements to it. But you can sort of start to hear some experimentation, and that's the first release where we have Patrick, our guitar player on it, but it's still him with the original second other guitar player and the original bass player. So it's still very much in that sort of early stages of the band. Then by the time we recorded Wolves at the Door, it's a different bass player. That original guitar player had left. And it was really much more Patrick in the driver's seat as far as the writing goes. But we still had some material left over from like when it was more of the 5-piece crust punk band configuration. So you can hear some vestiges of that for sure there. The other thing about that is we had no money. So it was like recorded pretty quickly. And so by necessity, like there's going to be a little bit more of that sort of the little bit of sloppy punk rock energy to it, which has both its pluses and minuses. So that's a big part of why there's sort of, I think, that change that happens. Then once you get into the darker record, that's sort of when we're like really kind of settling in, I think, into what we want to be sort of going forward. That was also like, that was such a weird situation, right? Because we recorded that album actually just before everything shut down for COVID. So it's like early 2020 when we recorded it. And like our intention was to put it out like at the end of that year, maybe early the following year. But obviously couldn't tour. Our label was like, hey, just let's hang on, wait until we can actually do something with it. So it ended up getting pushed back. And also we weren't really doing anything for a couple of years because, you're not supposed to spend time with anybody. So that sucked. And that kind of hurt our momentum, I would say. But then once we were able to start getting back in the room together and, had enough time to actually start working on new material, because at first we were focused on like, hey, we've got this album we've been sitting on for 2 years, let's play as many shows as we can and try to sell it to people. But then once we were able to kind of settle back into actually being in writing mode, I think there was a little bit of an evolution in terms of how we were doing things still. It was like not so much that we were like bringing in that many different influences, I think, but more that we were kind of figuring out better how to make them all kind of cohere together, right? Like we've all the sort of core members who have been there since 2015, Patrick, Chris on drums, myself, and also even our bass players, who there have been a couple, currently Aaron, who rips. We've all had like pretty eclectic tastes, always, right? Like we're the kind of people who, like, if you go to any given like heavy show in Chicago, there's a good chance you're going to see at least one or two of us, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter like the style too much. Like, we all have our preferences, but we cross a lot of borders in terms of like what we're into, and we kind of never felt like we should have to just stick to any one of those. Like, especially if we can find like a good way to bring in like a sludgy part here, a full-on grind part there. We want to try to bring all of it in, and it sort of the evolution, I think, really over these past couple records has been really figuring out how does it all come together in a way that's satisfying as a whole, and makes the band in general have like a recognizable sound that people can latch onto. And I think it's still a little confusing for people. Like the still like half the reviews we get I'd say something like, yeah, I don't know what the hell this is. But that's fine, because they at least seem to say it is a thing, right? It is a sound unto itself, right? And they're not saying this is a mess. Like I can't make heads or tails of what these guys are trying to do. It's these guys are doing a thing. We just don't quite know what to call it.
Awesome. So I'm going to focus on the current 2 records mostly, because that's what I've really kind of listened to. So a friend and I were having kind of a discussion and debate, and like saying like, if we were going to like introduce your band to other people, like I've been doing, and kind of saying like, if you like this kind of band, you probably will like your band. The three bands that we came up with together, I kind of want to get your opinion too, and like who's your influences and stuff. But like we said, if you throw Early Converge, if you throw Brutal Truth and Mr. Bungle together, you're going to have a pretty good understanding of what the hell is going on with Nequient.
Yeah, I mean, I have no objection to any of that. Those are three of my favorite bands of all time. Like we sort of like the way we think of it, just the way it's kind of ended up, not this was necessarily conscious, but feel like sort of that convergy kind of sound is sort of the core thing, right? And then like everything else kind of builds off of that and goes in different directions and does some things that Converge might do, because Converge can be a pretty eclectic band themselves, but also some things that maybe they wouldn't necessarily do, like more the death metal stuff and more the like full on grind stuff. Like they might sort of tinge in that direction sometimes, but they don't really fully embrace it usually. And like even when Bannon does do like his death metal project, which actually we got to open for once, and that was pretty sick. But he doesn't really do like the full death metal grunt so much. It's just not his style. So yeah. Anyway, the point being, yes, I would concur with those. Like the Mr. Bungle thing, like I don't think we're quite at that level of chaos, but we all love Mr. Bungle, and they are a huge inspiration for all of us. And just like Patton in general is huge for me. Like I can't do all the things Patton can do, but I can do a few of those things, and I enjoy trying, especially just to like kind of vary the approach and do different voices and different parts based on like how the style of the music is hitting me in that moment. So yeah, he's always been very inspiring in that way.
Yeah, I was going more on the Bungle where it's the controlled chaos kind of vibe that you guys have. Like Bungle is really good at that. They can go completely manic 1 second and then on a dime become the most technically proficient band in the world. So like that's cool. The other band that I'm gonna throw out that's just me particularly is, do you guys like The Accused at all? Because the reason God damn, like on the new record, I literally hear like Accused moments going on throughout that record. So I just wanted to see if like they were a big influence of you or not. So.
Yeah, like I mean, of those crossover bands, like the one that's most important for me is early COC. But yeah, just in general, like DRI, all those bands, yeah, those are great. Nice. And like obviously we're like metalheads who love hardcore and punk, right? So that whole area is kind of a sweet spot for I think all of us.
Cool. So the last three records have been on Nefarious Industries. You guys seem like you have a good partnership with them. What makes them a good home? Because like they're probably one of the most chaotic labels I've ever seen. There is not one band that sounds the same on that goddamn label. So
that's a big part of why.
Okay. How has it been throughout the evolution? It seems like they keep pushing and loving you more and more with each record, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. So Greg is the head of Nefarious Industries. I don't know if you've ever encountered him. He's a guy who's like been a touring musician in a lot of bands. He's got very eclectic tastes himself. He'll like insist up and down that he doesn't even really like metal that much, even though he signs all these crazy metal bands and he's toured in like a bunch of different metal bands. But whatever. Clearly he likes metal. He just likes to mess with you. But yeah, he's a great dude, really easy to work with, very open to like any type of music you want to do, right? As long as he kind of respects like your approach, your sort of general ethos. He's like a big believer in just the DIY ethic, right? And you know, you record your stuff, you get out on the road, you go hard, and if you're willing to do that, then he wants to work with you, basically. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And he's even like on a couple occasions filled in on bass for us. Some people who maybe have seen us on a couple of our tours since 2022 might have seen him playing with us. May or may not have realized it. I don't like make a big deal about it, but yeah, it's been really fun being on the road with him as well.
Cool. So I want to talk about your vocals for a second because they mix two different drastic styles, in my opinion. Now, like I said, so it reminds me of like that old punk kind of grindy kind of element, but yet
Mhm.
you have these gutturals that remind me of like 90s death metal so much too at
Mhm.
times. Is it hard to be able to intertwine it in the same song to be able to have the because over half of your songs intertwine those vocal styles in these most like out of the ordinary places. So like kind of explain to me like your mindset on where you feel certain vocals need to fit in each song. So
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of it just comes from, me literally sitting there listening to the song over and over again and just sort of feeling out what I think, makes sense in that particular song, and just kind of embracing that. And like you're saying, like 90s death metal is a huge influence for me. Like I very much grew up on like all different types, but like especially I'm thinking of like Morbid Angel,
yeah,
the Napalm Death when they went death metal, though I also love when they went back to grind, and yeah, like all those bands. Also like some of the like mellow death bands, like At the Gates and so on,
yep.
where you get more of that sort of shrieky sound mixed in there. So I always kind of liked both those things, and I also really loved how Napalm Death, in particular, would sort of mix those together. Like they would have Barney doing the grunt, and then
Yep.
sometimes you would have Jesse in the old days, and these days I think Shane does it, doing more of the shrieky thing. I'm like, yeah, I want to do both those things. And then also a little bit of like, just like classic hardcore punk bands that were a big influence on me, like your Black Flags, your Bad Brains, Dead Kennedys, all that stuff, and seeing someone like Patton, who can kind of bring lots and lots of different styles together, just trying to do that as much as possible. So so yeah, I do my best, and I try to pull all those different styles together in a way that kind of makes sense, that's gonna tell a story in some way over the course of the song and make you feel like it's sort of progressing. um like hopefully there's some sort of like emotional arc to the way
Mm.
that the different styles are intertwining, and it sort of reflects what's happening in the lyrics and in the music, and yeah, it's fun. I think it's more fun
Cool.
that way, right? Like I'm having a much better time, I think, than I would be if I was just going like, if I was like Corpse Grinder. Full respect to Corpse Grinder, who fucking rules. But like Corpse Grinder does Corpse Grinder the whole time, and
Right.
like maybe he does like one sort of high scream like every other song. Um,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it makes it more interesting for the listener too, because you're following this roller coaster. So it's very cool. The next thing I kind of want to talk about, I know you're not the guitar player, but I want to kind of get your mind because the
Very
thing
much
I
not.
love, yeah, because the reason why I love this band so much is, yeah, it's controlled chaos, as I can say, but there's these hooks and melodies in the chaos that only the guitars bring. Like the bass and the drums have this solid rhythm that holds everything together, but the guitars just drive these like, and I hate to say it like in a bad way, it's a really good way, but it reminds me in the same way like Husker Du used to do, like where they would have this completely hardcore kick you in the goddamn face, and then they become a pop band at like 30 seconds later. And only Bob Mould can do that. Like, and I feel like only your guitar player right now that I'm listening to can make grindcore sound hooky. So, like, when you guys are writing songs, do you ever get that moment you turn around like what the hell are you? It works, but like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very intuitive guitar player, right? Like he has no like formal musical training or of any
Nice.
kind. It's all very much like him just sort of playing what feels right to him. But he does, like I was saying before, have like pretty eclectic tastes. I think like you look at a band like Dillinger Escape Plan, who were a big influence on him. Also, like his favorite bands, but when I met him, and I think still to some degree, were Death, Children of Bodom, Like, so bands that had like sort of that proggy but also heavy element to them. Arsis, the first Arsis album, like was like his favorite record ever. So they all have that sort of melodic sense to them. So I think that has a lot to do with sort of his sensibility, but he also wants to do like weird, scronky shit here and there. So it ends up being an interesting mix. And Patrick and I like just go back a very long way. Like we started writing songs together. I don't think I even want to think about how long ago it was, because we were like maybe 19, 20, something like that. And now we're older. And so it sort of took some time for it to become like something that was like a band that did more than play like a couple local gigs or like record a couple demos in his bedroom. But it's been really cool to see sort of his style and skills sort of really come to fruition now that we're like hitting the road for, you know, a while at a time, and like he has the time to really develop his approach. It's pretty gratifying for me.
Cool. So there's one song off the new record in particular that I play everybody first, and I say, if you like this one, you're probably going to like their whole discography because it kind of has everything mixed together, and that's Siege Mentility. And the reason why I say that is it kind of mixes the last three records in my mind all together with your influences and your styles. When you recorded that song, can you kind of talk about how it came to be? Do you even like that song? Like some bands hate the song I pick as their favorite. So my favorite. So like, yeah, talk a little bit about that song if you can, because I love it. So.
Yeah, I don't hate any of our songs. That was one of the very early ones that we worked on that ended up on this record. And yeah, there were a few things that kind of went into it. One was thinking of the beginning of Domination by Pantera. Yeah. One was, you know, just generally wanting to do sort of a more of a thrashy song, but still having, some of those like sort of off-time rhythms to it, some of that more technical aspect to it. And Patrick put a lot of thought into what he was going to do for the lead part towards the end, like really thinking about how he was going to compose that solo. Like in the past, maybe some of his lead parts were a little more, like I was saying, kind of intuitive, kind of improvisational. And this one, he really wanted to make sure that like he had thought through each step along the way. So that was cool. And then, but lyrically, it's a song basically about the Israel-Palestine situation, but oddly enough, it was something that we were working on well before, like even October 7th happened and all that, because like I was saying, it was like one of the first ones we were working on. So it was just me sort of thinking about that situation more broadly. And then obviously things got, so much more horrific and intense. And that I maybe adjusted a few things in there, because of that, but not much, because it was, something that it was already on my mind, and just sort of, wanting to say something about that in one of our songs. So that's sort of how it came together.
Cool. So your album covers to me are very stark and different, each one of them. Like not one of them had the same kind of, like if I picked up all three albums that I saw, I would never be able to tell what kind of band you actually are. All right. And I think that's an interesting way. Do you feel that the album artwork, did you pick it? Did you make it? Or do you feel it fits the theme of each album as a whole? Or is it more of just the headspace that the band is in at the time? Because a lot of bands, like I said, not to make this a long drawn out thing, sometimes just like a certain art piece and say like, at this point in time, this is what we want. So it doesn't matter what the songs fit, like this is what we want. But which side of the spectrum is it on? So
yes. So Patrick sort of has been leading the way in terms of sort of art direction, so to speak, for the past couple of years. He wanted, like you were saying, to kind of make it so that each record had its own sort of look and feel, and he wanted to work with different artists. So he's been very consciously seeking out different artists that we might want to work with. The very early releases that we did, and a lot of our merch was done by M.G. Miller, who is an artist based in DeKalb, Illinois, who's an old friend of ours. Patrick and I went to school in DeKalb at Northern Illinois University, so we know him from back in those days. And he's a really interesting artist. He did a lot of work. He's best known for his work with Bong Ripper, like like the album Satan Worshipping Doom, and like a few other albums of theirs. He did that artwork. So we have a very long-standing working relationship with him, and he continues to do stuff with us. And he did the artwork for the Infinite Regress EP and for the Wolves at the Door album. And then after that, I personally, I love like just working with my friends and everything. So I would have been totally happy with to just keep working with him. But Patrick had a strong desire to, like I was saying, kind of branch out and like try to bring in different people who had different sort of artistic styles. And so we ended up agreeing to do that. And the Darker Than Death or Night album cover, that was done by a different friend of ours, Scott Shellhammer. He's played in a bunch of bands like American Heritage and Mares of Thrace, and is like good musician, great artist and designer. And he painted like this strange, like sort of desolate, evil looking hellish landscape, and then also did the design work, and something that I think was kind of cool when we went to the third record, even though we ended up asking a different artist to do the artwork itself, we still had Scott do the design. So it has sort of some continuity there, right? And you can also kind of see with the logo specifically, there's the first version of the logo that was M.G. Miller. I'm using his initials because that's how he signs his stuff. It feels really freaking weird. This guy's name is Mike. I just want to make sure people can look him up. Sure. And anyway, he created the first version of the logo, which is just sort of like jagged, like sort of like more like classic thrashy, and sometimes has a little bird over it, which I love. The bird. Bird's name is Fanny. And then when Scott did the artwork for the second album, he was like, okay, for this album, I feel like this needs to get a little more death metal, a little more grim looking. So he did a rework of it. And then on the next album after that, he was like, okay, got to keep the same basic thing, but I'm going to even add like a few more different embellishments and things of that nature. So I think it's been cool to see that sort of evolve and sort of settle into a visual identity in that way. But the artwork for the third album is by a guy named Arafullah Ali, who's based in Malaysia, and just someone that Patrick found searching around on Instagram, and just really liked his style. And like he did the artworks like on a big canvas. It's like a huge piece of work, all just paint, no like digital trickery or any of that. And actually I believe the same is true for Scott when he did his piece. So that's something that we really respond to, is people who can like really have that sort of like physical approach to the artwork. Like it's fine to do some things digitally or whatever. Like Mike does I believe his colors digitally and things like that, and that's totally cool. But if someone can just do it like right on the canvas, that's something we really like and think fits with our sort of overall aesthetic.
Cool. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I love the artwork. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because it plays a real role into the sounds of the music. But anyway, so the next thing I'm going to ask is, how do you describe the band to someone that's never heard you before? Because like this is the thing, like it's so hard for me. Like, yeah, I can explain other bands, but like if someone's not into this style of music, how the hell do you explain this to them?
Yeah, we've toyed around with a few different ways of describing it. Like the sort of like quick version that I've settled on for now is like I say we're a grinding metallic hardcore band. Like I think that sort of captures it. It sort of leaves out the sludgy part, but it like captures a lot of it. We might try to just coin a bullshit genre name and just try to see if it catches on. That might be the next step. But like another thing I do is I ask, so do you listen to metal? And if the person says yes, then I just start naming a few bands, and I will probably name Converge, Napalm Death, I Hate God, and maybe Pig Destroyer. Those would be the bands that I would like name off. Because they're all sort of bands that like each reflect a specific aspect of our sound, I would say, but also they're all bands that are themselves like fairly eclectic. Like they sort of do a few different things. So I feel like if you like a couple of those bands, decent chance you'll like us.
Cool. Yeah, I love I Hate God, but I kind of want to have a discussion, I guess, going into a different direction then, because I hear more of like a Newthrush kind of vibe than I Hate God.
Yeah.
And the reason why is the vocalist from Newthrush and you have similar tones. Mike's a little bit higher than you, so that like that I think that's the only difference I would say. But like, I love I Hate God. Don't get me wrong, and yes, that's a great like middle ground place to go. But do you like Newthrush at all?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Newthrush Crush. Yeah.
Right.
I also love I Hate God. And I definitely don't sound like Mike Williams. You're right. But cool. I think if someone likes the sludgy, heavy riffs and they like it mixed in with a little bit of like sort of hardcore punk energy, then they might like us. So that's
I agree. No, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm on the same page. So I guess live versus albums. I have not had the honor to see you live yet. What's the differences? Like, what would be the big difference I see live versus on a record?
You can hear the mistakes. Like we try to bring it like pretty raw. Like, we're a punk rock band, and we are gonna just sort of plug in and play for you. Like, there's going to be like some feedback, and then we're just going to go into it, and we're going to try to pummel you for the next 10 minutes. Then maybe take a quick break to tune, and then pummel you some more. Like it's not super involved. Like we've toyed with like some different things in terms of like lighting and whatnot, but it's pretty straightforward. Like we're not going to use triggers, right? We're not going to use a click track. It's just going to be like four guys playing music together, and me probably getting up in the audience's face a little bit to try to provoke them a bit. That's usually how it goes. Yeah, you're in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, we've never been to Vegas. I'd love to go. Like, so hopefully that'll happen with this new record.
I lived in Texas for the last 2.5 years. I've only been in Vegas for about 1.5 years now. But like, I never got to see you guys live. I would love to see it. Don't get me wrong, but that's cool. So I guess, where do you think you fit in the musical spectrum? Like when you play live, do you feel more at home with metal bands, or do you feel more home at that kind of punk hardcore aesthetic? Like, which kind of show is better for you? Like, where do you think more people like you? You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, like I think they might be different things, right? Like I think where I feel like I'm having a better time is not necessarily where the people like us the most, which is fine. Like, but actually, I think the key thing is not so much whether it's more like hardcore punk bands or more like straight up death metal bands or whatever. So that we've played with both, and like it definitely can be a little different. But I think if it's got sort of that DIY ethos to the space and to the people who are there, right? If it's like sort of the ideal crowds for us are, I'm thinking specifically of Louisville, Kentucky. They have a Metal Monday night, right? Where it's a free show. It's changed bars, but like it's just like at a dive bar, and just there's a regular crowd of people who just come out to hang out and have a good time, and they don't necessarily know what band's gonna play. They just, are part of that scene and they support it. Like that's the sweet spot for us, right? Like we've played that many times, and that's always a really, really good time. So things like that, where there's like a sense of community, and it's just about like supporting the scene and being there together. That tends to be when we're having the most fun, because that's when the vibes are right.
Cool. Yeah. The coolest places I've ever played in my life. One is Louisville. The other one is in Memphis, and the other one's Atlanta, Georgia. They all have these really eclectic kind of scenes. So like, I totally understand exactly where you're going with that. So
yeah, we've definitely had interesting experiences in all of those places.
Cool. Do you see the band progressing in the same direction for future music, or are we going to be shocked and hear something completely different with new stuff that you're working on?
I don't think it'll be shocking, right? Like I think we'll sort of continue to pull from this like set of influences and like try to like continue to refine how we're doing it and build out songs that are bigger and better. We might like over time like do some more like experimentation in terms of like song structures, in terms of bringing in to different influences for specific songs. But I think sort of the core sound there will kind of continue on, right? Like we're not gonna throw out the D beats or the death metal or the sludge or the grind. We want to keep having all of them. We just might have them in slightly different doses and maybe mixed in with other ideas as we go. But yeah, we've already started working on the material for the next record, and the hope is that there won't be like a really long like break this time. Like we want to like get back some of the momentum that those couple of years of COVID took away, and like roll out the next thing in a much more reasonable time frame, and just hit the road as much as we can between now and then, and hopefully and this is already happening, I think, get this into more people's ears than we've been able to in the past.
Cool. So I have two more questions for you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. So the next one, I ask every band because I kind of just love to get the mindset of what would happen if. So let's say you could take one of your songs, any one of your songs, and give it to another artist and have them make it their own. What band would you want to give one of your songs to and say, I want to hear your mindset of that music?
Let's see. Like I want to go weird with it, right?
You can do anything you want. I don't care. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go John Darnielle. I'm gonna have John Darnielle do one of our songs, right?
Okay.
Because I know he's a metalhead, but he like obviously has been doing his indie folk thing forever.
Yeah.
And I want to see how he would sort of take something that was actually written as a metal song and kind of remold it into his approach. I think that would be really interesting. And I'm gonna pick maybe something like Death Bridge, which is sort of like has sort of a on the road band story behind it, and like I feel like he can maybe do something with something like that.
Very cool.
That's what I'm going with.
Awesome. So the last question I'm going to ask is, let's say you all know the band's packing it in. It's the end of the road. It's great. You've had multiple releases over the last decade plus of being a band. What do you want to be remembered for? Like, what is the thing that you would know most people want to remember for?
Like, let's see. Like, I'm not sure if I want to go real earnest with that or real silly with it. But if people remember us at all, I hope it's that we were like as a band that was very we were creative and sort of unbounded in our approach to this type of music. We put the focus on sort of the community that we're a part of within metal and hardcore, and tried to bring people who might not like all those different types of music, or might not like each other for various reasons, sort of together in sort of a positive way. Something like that.
Cool. Awesome. No, that's fantastic. So the last thing I'm going to do is kind of give you the stage, and you can kind of tell us in the next 3 to 6 months, what the hell is going on with the band? What you guys doing?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a bunch of tour dates over the next couple of months. So if you don't yet follow us on the socials and whatnot, great place to keep up on that. Like we're going to do a couple shows in June, and then a bunch more in July. Then we'll probably have some more coming up in the fall. And we're just going to try to get out there as much as we can, play as many places as we can. So we'd love to come play where you live, and we hope you will come out and see us.
Cool. Awesome. Again, I like to interview more eclectic underground bands, and like your record is one of the more interesting ones that have come out this year. So I really do appreciate what you do. I can't wait to hear more. I hope you make it to Vegas on this round of shows. I'd love to be able to see you. But outside of that, thank you for what you do, first of all. And regardless of whether you think anybody or nobody's listening, you make fantastic music. I just wanted to let you know.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
So yeah, anyway, Clint from the Doorway too, hanging out with Jason. It's been an absolute pleasure today doing it. Congratulations on everything you do. I can't wait to hear new music and see you on the road. But until next time, man, thank you very much. You have a great one.
Thanks. You too.